Welcome to the Laredo College Alumni Series. Our guest today is the owner of the Pan American Courts Arts Complex and Frontera Beer and Wine Garden, Sandra Rocha Taylor. Hi, Sandra. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
It's been a long time. I haven't seen you in a long time, but besides that, it's been a long time that you are associated with the Pan American Courts, and we're going to get into that story. But also of importance is that you were here at Laredo College. You're a Laredo College alumni. So
Yes.
Thanks for your time and thanks for being here. I don't even know where to start because, there's a lot to talk about. But let's start with your time at Laredo College. How did that happen?
Well, I was a graduate of J.W. Nixon High School, and I always had this fear that I wasn't smart enough. So I never took my SAT. And I ended up coming to LC because I didn't apply it anywhere else. And I was here a year, and some of my friends were going to Austin. They were transferring out there. So 2 were going to school, and 2 of us decided to just leave Laredo. You always, we got to get out.
Yeah.
So we moved to Austin, and we had a great year. But I had the hardest time finding a job. Everybody wanted to know, since I was 18 at the time, where I was going to school, what my degree plan was. And I was like, well, I didn't have any plans. So I usually didn't get the job. Didn't have many job skills. So one of my other roommates got a job at a bank. And I loved that whole atmosphere. She'd always be in her bank uniforms. And at the end of the year, everybody came home for summer. And I was very homesick, Miss Laredo. Ironically, I couldn't wait to get away, but I learned to appreciate what we have in Laredo.
Sure.
The small town atmosphere, and just, I came back. And as soon as I got here, I said, I'm going to go apply at a bank. First bank I went to was IBC. They hired me, and I applied at Laredo College because I knew I need to get a degree. If I wanted to pay rent or get a car or do any of those things, I had to have a degree. So I came and applied, and I started with really, I guess, preliminary
Basic courses.
Basic
now
courses.
They call them core curriculum,
Right, but since I didn't have an SAT, I really started low.
I want to go back and dig into something that you said. What made you think you weren't smart enough? How were you? Where did you go to elementary, middle?
I was at Mary Help of Christians.
Really?
Yes.
Salesians, yes. Salesians for
Yes,
life. Wow.
nuns forever.
Okay. So you were at Mary Help, and then you went straight to Nixon.
And then I went straight to Nixon, and I had never been in a classroom with boys.
Ah.
We were the last class at Mary Help of Christians that was all girls.
Okay.
So that was challenging for me, but then I was always kind of a tomboy at home, so I got into FFA, Future Farmers of America, and I enjoyed that. But as far as like school, I kind of drifted away from really focusing. So I was a B.C. student.
Yeah.
I really didn't try very hard.
But in your mind, you didn't think you were college material. Is that what it was?
No, and at the time, if you think back to that time, they really didn't try to encourage people to go to college. They kind of focused on the, people that were doing well in school. And so they kind of focused all the energy on those people. And everybody else, whatever you were, vocation or whatever you all were going to do. So now it's different. The atmosphere is different.
So you left Laredo, you came back, you started working at the bank. And at what point, you said you realized that you needed to get a degree.
Yeah,
right?
I decided I wanted to get a degree. And so IBC was on Scott Street. So as soon as I'd get out of work, I'd cross over this hill and I'd come to Laredo College. So I was going part-time student. So I'd come at night. And I got my degree plan out of a little book. Never sat with a counselor back then. I don't even know if there were counselors. There might have been. But I went through the little book and I marked off. In every class I had to take, I would take. And then when I felt, okay, I finished everything at Laredo College, I started at what was Laredo State University. And they were adjacent to each other. So it was easy drive again to continue going. My senior year, I was approached from somebody from Laredo College, and I was told, you can get your associate's degree at LC. You just need one elective. I think it was my counselor maybe at Laredo State. She says, you just need one elective for TAMU to get your degree, or Laredo State University at the time. And it's the same class you could take and graduate with your associate. So it was a speech class. So I did that. And my speech instructor was tasked with getting commencement speakers for the December graduation. And he got a full-time student, which at the time was Rosie Cuellar.
Really?
Yeah, Henry Cuellar's sister. And then he needed a part-time student. And he approached me, and I agreed. So I was commencement speaker for December.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But that was for your associate's degree, right?
Actually, it was for my associate's degree at Laredo College, but the night before I got my bachelor's degree at Laredo State University.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you spent all that time then, you never left Fort McIntosh.
I never left Fort McIntosh. 7 years. It took me 7 years to get my bachelor's and associate's degree.
I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just saying, like, I didn't realize you had spent so much time here.
Yeah. It was, I tell you, I got this from my parents. The word is grit.
Oh.
It's like never give up.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of people tell me, oh, you know, your GPA is not high enough. You just can't make it. There's no way you can't work and go to school. And the more people told me I couldn't do it, the more I said, watch me.
That's all you needed, right?
Oh,
Somebody
yeah,
to tell you couldn't do it.
That's right.
So you were working part-time and coming to school, and so it was...
No, actually, I was working full-time.
Oh, goodness.
And I was coming to school part-time. So I'd come at night to school.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. How did you manage that?
Youth.
Yeah, right.
I'd get up early to go to the bank, be there at 8. I was a full-time teller when I started, and eventually moved to the international department. And at the end, I was an internal auditor with the bank. And the bank had a unique program. I'm not sure they still do it, but towards the end, they developed a program where they would help you with funding for your school, but you had to show them your grades. And for every A, they'd pay you so much. And I was not a straight A student.
Right.
At Laredo College or Laredo State. I was B and C student, but I graduated.
Yeah. And you made a commencement speech then as a part-time student?
As a part-time student, yes.
How did that feel?
It was very empowering to be able to speak for those people that would love to come full-time but don't have the money to do it, because we didn't have the money. And even though my father had a small business, it was very challenging because, you know, owning your own business has its ups and downs. So he couldn't really help me. So I had to rely on Pell Grants and the working full time. Mm-hmm.
What was life like on campus at the time? I think we figured it was in the early 80s maybe that you were here.
Early 80s, yeah.
Yeah. And you were here until about, I think you said 87, is that
87.
accurate? Yeah. Go back to when you first came to the college here at Fort McIntosh. What was it like? It
was nothing like it is today. It was a very small, tight-knit group, kind of like the high schools were at the time. There was just like 3 high schools. So everybody knew everybody. And it was really unique. And I really enjoyed it because you kind of networked with a lot of people that now I still deal with. And it's nice to see them. But it was kind of sad in a way because a lot of the people that I graduated from in high school left. And so that's why initially I left to Austin, because I thought everybody leaves. Yeah. But no, not everybody leaves. And when you're here in Laredo, you have an opportunity to help Laredo grow.
That's a very common story, though. You feel that peer pressure because all your friends went out of town. You feel like you've got to go too. Yeah. And it's just not necessarily the case. For everybody's different. Everybody's unique. Every story is different. Yes. Your story is different.
Yes.
And you found success here on campus.
I did.
By getting your degrees. So it was a lot smaller then, I'm guessing, right? Yeah.
It was a lot smaller. The business school would take us on field trips. I remember going to HEB, to the big distribution center in San Antonio. Yeah, and that was really interesting. And you got to see how all of that worked. They took us to Austin to see other businesses. We had, and I think they may still do that. We had peer reviews. On our senior year, we had to come up with a business plan, and we worked with a partner and had to do all the marketing and everything. And then we had peer people from the community that came to see our presentation and would, rate us and judge us.
Did you know what you wanted to get your degree in when you came to college?
No, and I'm glad you asked me that question because I know there are students that know from day one what they want to be. I want to be an attorney, a doctor, police, whatever. I had no clue. I still, if you ask me right now, what do you want your degree in? I'd be like, oh, I don't know. But I think I did the best degree, and it was a business administration degree.
Okay. And that's a really good degree to have because it's really, you can do so many things with it, right?
Yes, it's very general.
But did you realize that as you were going along? I mean, because obviously you had to start with your basics and then start taking some of the classes toward your degree. But did you know that? I mean, did you realize that as you were going at the beginning?
No,
or?
They would try to pigeonhole you. Well, what do you want to be? Social services. I knew I didn't want to be a teacher. I knew I didn't want to go to medical school because there was so much more years of school. I didn't really like going to school, but it was something I felt I needed to do. So it was hard for me to decide. And one time I decided, I'm going to be an accountant. But I really like dealing with people, so I thought, no, I want to do something where I'm working more with people. And my father had a small business. So I thought, worst case scenario, if I end up with a business, I should know something about business. So that's why I ended up going in that direction.
Yeah, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I'm going to. Do you any faculty that you remember at the time that was really influential?
I run into them every once in a while. And I can't tell you if it's from high school or Laredo College. I can picture them, but I don't remember names as much. But everybody was very supportive, very supportive, yes. I know there was a Dr. Roberts. I remember I hated math. I struggled with math. I was good at reading and literature, but I didn't like math. And I had to take my final for math, and I had a wisdom tooth pulled, and I came for the final. My head was swollen.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, because the doctor couldn't pull it out, so he had to leave it there and sew it back up. So it was very painful, very excruciating. And I walk in, and the professor looks at me and says, well, what happened to you? I've explained to him what happened, and he's like, go home. Don't worry about the final. And I checked with him a couple of times, and I'll get back to you on the final. Never gave me the final. I walked across the stage waiting for him to say, wait.
Stop.
She can't graduate. But no, thank God I graduated.
Really?
Yes. Well,
But you were only going to class at night?
at night.
The whole time you were here, only at night, or were you ever?
I think my senior year, because I had a lot of electives I had to do, and I left them to the very end. So I had to take PE, and just, I asked the bank to put me back on the teller line. At that time, I think I was working in the international department. To put me on the teller line part-time so I could finish, because I didn't want it to drag on anymore. And they were supportive, and they let me do that.
Do you remember what you took for PE? Was it an actual PE class?
I took tennis.
There you go.
Yeah.
I took bowling. That's why I asked.
Did you? Nice, nice.
And so you're at the bank, and you're already moving up at the bank then, right? I mean, you're kind of, doing really well at the bank. Did you ever stop and think, why am I going to college? I'm doing well here at the bank. Did that ever cross your mind?
No, because I had gotten a little taste of that in Austin, and I understood that if you were going to want to move up and promote, you're going to need to have some sort of credentials, and not to prove that you can handle the job, but it becomes very competitive. And so there are other people that are applying for the same position, and even though you might have all the experience, they might give it to someone else that has a degree, and I didn't want that to hold me back.
So really moving to Austin and realizing that really set you up for success, because you realized that, it's not going to happen without a degree.
Right.
Well, any hesitation to coming to Laredo College at the time? Are you just attacked it as...
No, as a matter of fact, there was no other option if you wanted to get a degree. And I was very grateful that it even existed and that we were able to do that. I mean, I knew people that were coming from Zapata and further away from Nuevo Laredo that were coming. So no, I appreciated having the school, and I appreciated having that opportunity.
We're talking to Sandra Rocha Taylor. She is the owner of Pan American Courts Art Complex and Frontera Beer and Wine Garden. She's a Laredo College alumni. Your life at the college, though, Sandra, was at night. I mean, did you go to the Kaizen at all? Was the Kaizen around? It was around at that time.
I did a little bit, but it was difficult for me because I had to go to work the next day. And like spring break, where everybody would take off to the beach. I'll tell you when I did spring break, finally, when my son was in high school. That's the only spring break I ever went to.
Really?
Yeah, because he wanted to go, and I said, "You're not going unless I'm going." But no, it was just a different life when you're working and going to school. So you can't be like a student and enjoy all of the activities. I mean, I could do whatever was happening when I was here.
Sure.
But otherwise, you had to work the next day.
Yeah, how about as a senior, when you kind of cut back at work, were you able to spend more time on campus or not really?
I did because I was taking electives. So I took dance and I took tennis. So it was a little more relaxing.
Sure.
But I was still working part-time.
Yeah.
So whenever I was done here, I'd have to run over there and finish.
What were your parents saying all this time? You know, how were they taking everything that you were doing, I guess?
Well, my father never graduated from high school because he went into the Korean War. Mm-hmm. And my mother went and got her GED. So she believed that education was very important. So they supported me, but they always felt bad that they couldn't financially support me. So, you know, they tried to do what they could, but it was really up to me. I had to drive myself. What did
they say when you left to Austin? Were they okay with that?
No, they were devastated. My father had bought me a little pickup truck for graduation, and I took it with me. Well, I was the only one that had a car at the time, but I couldn't afford the gas because I couldn't get a job. So everybody else was using my vehicle. But my dad didn't speak to me for a couple of months. Really? My mom was crying and crying. My grandmother was the one that told me that she was very proud of me for doing that, for stepping out. But I think I left when I was about 17, just becoming 18. So it was just, it was the summer where I turned 18. My birthday's in August, so that's around when I left.
And they were excited when you came back, I'm guessing.
Yes, they were. They were very excited. My sisters were all getting married and moving on, and so they were happy to have me back in Laredo.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Pan American Courts Arts Complex now. And Frontera Beer and Wine Garden, because there's a lot of history there.
Yes.
I don't know the history, but I know you do. And so how did that come about exactly?
So the Pan American Courts is named after the Pan American Highway, which is IH-35. And it's called Pan American because it goes from Canada to Central America. And my father lived right behind where the property is on the highway before the highway was built. And he saw them building it. And he came and asked for a job. So they hired him at the age of 13 as a cook's helper. He worked his way up and eventually met my mother, who they hired years later as a waitress. And they ended up falling in love, getting married. And my father left to the Air Force. My mom stayed here. They ended up having 4 daughters. I'm the third one down. And eventually the third owner sold to them.
What was it at the time? It was a hotel?
It was a hotel and a coffee shop.
And it was called Pan American?
Pan American Courts.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And so on this side where the Frontera Beer Garden is, those buildings were built later. And that was more like a grass area, just like parking. But the main building is on the north side.
Your dad had already come back from Korea, and then eventually he decided to buy it.
The third owner was retiring, the Redines, who had a lot of ties here in Laredo, and they were moving to Spain. So they offered the property to my parents, and they were able to purchase it. Yeah, owner financed it, so they bought it.
How many rooms did it have?
24.
Yeah.
Frontera is the 24th room.
Really?
Yeah.
The environment, well, not the environment, the life here in Laredo at the time was different. I mean, this was probably one of the only hotels in town, I'm guessing.
There were a few. A lot of them are gone. The last one that they've torn down recently was the Evelyn. It was so sad. But that was my playground. I mean, I grew up there, not playground because I wasn't playing there, but that's my neighborhood. And so they had El Cortez, they had the Mayan Motel, they had the Laredo Motel. There were so many beautiful, beautiful hotels that were there. There's a Haynes Motel that's still there, but they're like little apartments. And then the Siesta Motel is still there.
What are your memories of your parents first working there and then owning it?
It was a very unique environment because it never closed. So it was there was a coffee shop, right? So the restaurant was open 7 days out of the week, 24 hours. And the motel was always open as well. So ironically, I did not like the Border Patrol because they would come and take, unfortunately, like they're doing now, they would take the help. And my dad would come knocking on the door, get up, get up. They took the waitresses, you need to work.
Oh, goodness.
So forget the cartoons, Saturday cartoons. We'd have to go work a whole shift.
Were you living at the hotel?
Yes, we never had a home. We lived in the hotel rooms, yes.
As long as your parents, even when they worked there, you all lived in the hotel?
Always.
Or really?
Always. I did not live in a home until I married my husband.
That's interesting.
Yes.
What did your friends say about, like, how did you deal with friendships and...
Well, it was my Mary Help group.
Yeah.
So they would come and we would spend the night and they loved it because, we had food all the time. We never had a kitchen. So we had to get dressed and go down to the restaurant and order food.
Oh, that's fun.
Which sounds like fun, except that you have to get dressed and go down. So you can't have like cereal and watching cartoons. It sounds like fun, but it's very structured. Our birthdays were always shared with everybody. Our birthday cake, you had cake in the restaurant and you shared with everyone. Thanksgiving was shared with everyone. So you never really had a private dining experience.
Who was running the restaurant? Your parents as well?
My parents, yeah.
And
then my father did Notary Public, and he was also had the Western Union at one point.
And did you enjoy that life?
At the time I hated it. I didn't really like it because all my friends were, when they got home from school, they'd go hang out with in the neighborhood with their friends, and I had to be at home. My parents did not like us being out. We did structure things like we had dance class and things like that, so we would go to that. But no.
Did the restaurant have a separate name, or was it just part of the Pan American Courts?
It was the front said Pan American Courts and Cafe.
Ah.
Now it says Pan American Courts and Clementine's.
You graduated after your time here at Laredo College, and then what did you do?
The bank promoted me, so I ended up becoming an internal auditor for the bank, and I really enjoyed that. Around the time I had met my husband, we got married, and after a few years, I got pregnant. He was able to support us if I wanted to stay home. And of course I was career minded. But once I had my son and I started nursing and I decided, no, I really want to focus on taking care of him. I stayed home. And then I found out I was pregnant with my daughter. So I had the two. And then unfortunately, when my daughter was 3 years old, I ended up with breast cancer.
Oh, goodness.
Yes. So, that kind of changes the course of your life.
Absolutely.
And 6 months before I got breast cancer, my father passed away. And my mother had passed away a year before I got married. So
that's a lot of trauma, Sandra.
It was a lot of stress. And I ended up inheriting, I was the executor of the estate. And I ended up buying my sisters out, and I stayed with the property and been, Unfortunately, as a small business owner back then, my father didn't have any health or life insurance, nothing. So when he died, we inherited the debt. But because I had worked with IBC, thanks to them, I was able to stay with the property. I'm still paying them. It was a big loan, and I've taken out money to remodel. But it's finally under a certain amount, and I'm probably going to ask them for money to start remodeling the rooms again.
So then you never went back to work?
I never went back to IBC, and every time I'd run into Mr. Nixon, he'd be like, when are you coming back? And I really loved working there, but I just wasn't able to because I had the hotel that I had to do something. My dream had always been to be a loan officer. And I had the opportunity when Countrywide Home Loans was looking for a mortgage officer, and they hired me. So I ran the office here while I was still running the hotel and the restaurant with Countrywide Home Loans. So I managed that for a while.
You're a breast cancer survivor.
27 years.
What was that whole experience like? You're already facing so much trauma because your father had passed away, and then you got diagnosed, correct?
Yes.
Did your mom pass away while you were?
No, my mom had passed away 6 years prior.
Okay.
So I just had my dad. It was very challenging but I took it head on, like I tell you, grit. Since I ended up with a hotel, it was in really bad shape. And
The hotel.
The hotel. I made the decision to stay with it. I could have just sold it. I had people that wanted to buy it, but they didn't want to pay much at the time. The economy was very depressed, so it would have sold for nothing. But I felt my parents had always spent their whole life there and, focused so much attention and so much energy on the property. I just couldn't just let it go.
Yeah.
The saddest thing for me was when my father died, I was in line at the bank, and someone was talking about my dad passing, and they said, yeah, Mr. Rocha, the owner of the Pan American, the dump. They called it the dump because it really looked like a dump. Unfortunately, when the peso devalued, he lost a lot of money. He had invested in Nuevo Laredo. So there were abandoned vehicles. The roof had caved in on some part. It was bad.
I mean, that evaluation changed downtown forever.
Yes.
Part of that. Were there still people staying there?
We had some people that were staying there, but the rooms were very run down. So, So
and the restaurant was still open?
The restaurant was still open, and my dad had still been doing notary. The property never closed while my dad was alive. When he died, and the funeral was from Hernandez Lopez, the cafeceros, we call them cafe, because you always had those coffee drinkers. They said, you can't close. We're going to stay here and keep it open because your dad would never have closed. Okay. So the funeral procession went right through the middle driveway with my dad. And I tried to run the restaurant, but I appreciate those people that do restaurant business because it's not something that I was familiar with or could handle. And so I decided to step away, and so I started renting the facility.
As far as the breast cancer, what was the treatment? Did you stay here in Laredo? Were you traveling to get treatment?
I ended up having the biopsy in Corpus because I didn't have family here. There was no one here. My sisters were all out of town, and I had the 3 and a 4-year-old. And so my in-laws said, come to Corpus. My father-in-law was a pharmacist, and they had a lot of doctor friends. And they said, we'll do the biopsy here and figure out what's going on. So they did it. It was just introductal carcinoma. So it was just starting. And I decided just to remove my breast. I had nursed both my son and my daughter, and I thought, okay, I used them. The doctor would not remove both of them. He just removed one, which was good because when they removed it, the initial cancer was at 6 o'clock, and at 9 o'clock, another one was starting. So I removed it, but I was 38 at the time. I was very young. And so none of the doctors wanted to give me chemo or radiation. So they said, no, you're fine. You went extreme, so you're going to be good. Just, focus. Yeah. And I decided to focus on fixing up the hotel. And so I just threw myself in that.
That kind of kept you distracted.
Very distracted.
But really, then you didn't need the treatment because you decided the route that you went.
Yes.
For all practical purposes, right? And that was the end of that? I mean, it never...
I had to check every 6 months, and then it went to every year, and it's still a yearly. I have to do my mammogram. But back in the day, KGNS had a bosom buddy program.
Oh, that's right.
With Claudia Lanesi. She and I were bosom buddies, so I would go on there. And one of the things my parents taught me was community service. So I had someone in Corpus come and help me get through the cancer healing after the surgery. So I decided to play that forward. And when I came to Laredo, I joined a program called Reach to Recovery with the American Cancer Society. And so I devoted a lot of time to that.
When did you really immerse yourself into the hotel? Like it was your project and the only project? I want to say in 2000,
when the estate was finally settled, I was able to just focus on the hotel. Prior to that, we would be doing little repairs, but we decided to get a little bit more money and then dive into it. So we did all the internal stuff. We did all of the, of course, not knowing what I was doing, I did all the plumbing and electrical and all of that. But on the outside, it still kind of looked rough. And so we did a remodeling of all the rooms and tried to bring up the clientele. But around that time, all these hotels started popping up.
Oh.
So it was a little challenging. And now we're going to do the rooms again. Mm-hmm. And basically it's painting and, retiling some of the bathrooms.
Do you still have people that are staying there? Or,
yes,
really?
yes. It's never closed. So yes.
Are they? I mean, do you have monthly tenants or
we
people
have
going?
some monthly and some dailies. Yes.
How many rooms are still available?
I might say maybe about 5 or 6.
Okay. Mm-hmm. What is it now, Sandra? I mean, you've done a lot of work. I mean, you've been through a lot. You added the arts complex to the title, Pan American Courts Arts Complex, and of course, Frontera Beer and Wine Garden. How did you get to this point, or what is it now?
So my sisters left. My youngest sister, who never wanted to leave Laredo, ended up in Germany working as a kindergarten teacher. Her husband was in the military. And so when my father died, she came down. And Germany, beer gardens are a thing. So we had initially thought about doing a beer garden, but right outside the entrance to the hotel, there was a big tree, and we were just going to set up something there. Mm-hmm. It eventually moved to the back area where Frontera is now. So I decided, because I was sluggish in the hotel, I started seeing all these food truck parks pop up everywhere.
What year was this?
Oh, God. There you go with the dates.
More or less.
I'd say, like, for the beer garden to, like, Frontera, to do that, I'd say maybe that was about 7 years ago. And one of the unique things that I learned from moving back to Austin, was how unique our culture was. Mm. Everybody has their little thing. And when Nuevo Laredo, all the violence started, I felt San Antonio capitalized on that. So now everybody goes to the Mercado in San Antonio. San Antonio didn't have that before. We could have done that. Unfortunately, we missed the boat. But a lot of the people ended up opening shops on San Bernardo. So we started pushing the Avenida San Bernardo program. And Mr. Vega from Vegas Interiores and I got together and we created an organization where we started promoting that area for shopping and dining and staying with the hotels. So with that in mind, I was trying to do a food truck park, but initially not at my place. I was trying to do it in front of Vegas. There was an abandoned gas station. And the daughter, she and I are classmates from Mary Help Christians, she said, why don't you just do it at your place? So that's what we started focusing there. So anyway, about 7-8 years ago, they didn't have food truck parks in Laredo. As a matter of fact, if you went into the planning and zoning, they'd have a food truck and they'd have a big X on it because they didn't want them here because they felt that it was going to be kind of craziness like in Nuevo Laredo. Mm-hmm. But it was happening all over in Chicago, New York, Austin, everywhere. So eventually the city went and did field trips and got on board and decided, you know what, maybe we should do this. So they let me be the first food truck park. We were the first pilot program.
Cool.
But they had their requirements. You had to have a parking area, bathroom, so all this stuff. So we filled the criteria and we started it. And so we were the first food truck park, but now there's several, which is awesome. Right. There's enough for everybody. It's a big enough city, 250 or more.
How many food trucks are on there right now?
Right now, the 2 food trucks we had, the first 2 was El Puesto and Clementine's. And Clementine's is now in the restaurant.
Cool.
And El Puesto just reopened about a month ago.
Yeah.
So I have them, and then I have Gorilla, who is now spread out all over town.
They've got brick and mortar too now, right?
They have brick and mortar on Del Mar and then on the Zapata Highway. Cool. And then we also have this really unique place called Laredo Lemonade that sells lemonades, flavored, freshly made lemonades, and taquitos de papa.
Oh, wow.
And those taquitos are like potato chips, man. They just dissolve in your mouth. You just can't have one. So they're very popular, and we're very blessed. And we have a big stage, so we've had live concerts, tribute concerts. We do lots of events with the community, and now we have our markets, our vintage markets and our collectors market.
I was going to say, it's more than a food truck park now. It's more than a beer garden. It's a lot of things because you have so many events there.
Yes, and then we have 2 art galleries.
Oh.
The Schwartz Gallery, and then we have Casa Arte, which is our art gallery.
Clementine's Kitchen, you leased that out?
Yes, we leased to them.
Yeah.
And we had them during COVID. And I will say this, because I know that we're trying to revive some of the areas downtown. We were able to work with them, and not during COVID, we didn't charge them rent, okay? It was a struggle for us. What helped us was we had taken out a home improvement loan, which we ended up using for COVID. I never applied for the funds that the federal government was giving. I never got any of that because I was afraid I would, get into too much debt. And that was always a cautionary tale for my dad. That's how we saw everybody on San Bernardo lose their properties during the devaluation. So anyway, I think you really have to work with people that are just starting out in a business, because look at them. They're doing amazing.
Yeah.
But the first few years of a restaurant is very, very challenging. It's all spend,
But you really have a desire to, you're not just a business owner, you have a desire to help others and also to help the city, it sounds like to me. I mean, you've been involved in so many things.
After when there was a mortgage crisis and Countrywide Home Loans shut down, I was approached by Laredo Main Street to be on their board. I eventually became the executive director. And we started the first farmers market in Laredo.
Really?
Yes, at Jarvis Plaza. So my team and I were very instrumental in doing that. And it was a really fun project. But I realized at the time that the city, if we want to see change in the city and we want to see things happen, we have to not just throw ideas at the city, we have to be willing to take it on. And so when we approach a city about doing a farmer's market, we didn't say, you should do this farmer's market. No, we started working with a committee, and we brought a professor from the Valley that had a grant to create farmer's markets. And through his guidance, we created one, and we were accepting WIC. And we did it there at the Jarvis Plaza because we had all the buses that would go there, and then the city partnered with us for the free parking. Now it's at the Outlet Mall, so it still continues to flourish. But my parents instilled community service in me, and my dad, through the Notary Public, was always like a social worker, because people that would get letters from the IRS or couldn't translate them would come to him, and he would translate. And so we've always wanted to be that same focus. So come appraisal during the when you can
challenge?
Protest.
Protest.
I will set up a table outside and have people come, because I had Miss Ramirez from Ramirez Tire teach me how to protest, because I had never done it.
Yeah.
And she guided me, and I said, you know what, I'm playing that forward. And so now I've been able to help other people protest their property taxes. And it's important. The appraisal district wants you to challenge them if you don't feel that, you were evaluated properly.
Yeah. Sandra, we've been talking to Sandra Rocha Taylor. She's the owner of Pan American Courts and Arts Complex and Frontera Beer and Wine Garden. And she's in the Laredo College alumni. And just to kind of put a bow on everything here, Sandra, amazing story. You've had such success, and you've given back to your community, and that's what's beautiful. You're a breast cancer survivor. How did Laredo College, shape that?
Laredo College gives local people, local community, the ability to stay here locally. I'm sure a lot of people would love to travel out of town and go to school, but sometimes it's just not in the cards. Financially, you can't do it. My mother, was able to get her GED here, and if she had lived longer, she would have gone to Laredo College. So even as an adult, you can still come, change careers, and take different courses here. I think Laredo College has now expanded. My son came here. He went to the culinary school. And then he enrolled in the Coast Guard as a culinary specialist.
Cool.
When he left the Coast Guard, he used those benefits to go to the CIA at the Pearl. And he is now working at a Michelin recommended restaurant called Leche de Tigre in the King Williams district in San Antonio. And he's doing really well. But again, he went from school. He was at the early college, the first early college at TAMU, and then came here to Laredo College. So it just provides a lot of opportunity for students. And I don't want people to get discouraged because, trust me, I thought I was not smart enough to come to school. I didn't have the money to come. And you just have to keep moving forward, baby steps, baby steps. Don't give up. I know a lot of people that are lacking 2 or 3 classes to get their degree. Get the degree. It'll help you. I mean, maybe some people nowadays, they say, no, you're just throwing money away to go to college. But college isn't just knowledge. It's also networking. It gives you the ability to see and to be put in front of other people's eyes that maybe if you just go and apply, it's not going to happen. It is, people hate to say it's who you know. Yes, a lot of times it is who you know when you go and apply. But coming to a school like this, Laredo College, which is now even offering bachelor's degrees, that's amazing. It gives you the opportunity to apply for different projects and network with different people that, wow, I tell my kids, everybody's always watching what you're doing. Even if you're volunteering for community service, do your best. Because there's, business people there that are also volunteering and they're watching your work ethic. Your work ethic is very important. Don't give up on yourself, because if you give up on yourself, how is anybody else going to support you? Yeah. You have to focus and support yourself. I know COVID put a lot of stress on people mentally. People have high anxiety. Well, anxiety is fear. I used to get panic attacks, but it's the fear of the unknown. The fear of the fear is what a panic attack is. Just hit it head on. What is the worst thing that can happen? If you ever have a chat, if you're going to do a speech and you're panicking about doing the speech, what's the worst thing that can happen? That you get up there and you go blank and you don't know what to say? Well, how would you combat that? Write a card, write a note that would trigger your memory again. I mean, there's ways to overcome things. Don't look at how you can be defeated. Look at how you can be successful. My commencement speech was about winners versus losers, and how winners look at life and how losers look at life. And losers are always looking for the water in the golf course, and winners are always aiming for the hole in one. Yeah. So it's just the way you look at life. It's all the way you look. And I've been through a lot of struggles and a lot of failures. I rented to people at the restaurant that I thought were going to do amazing, and they sued me. Craziness. I've lost money, and it's just been challenging. But you just have to dust yourself off. And every time you have a failure, you learn so much about yourself, and you learn so much about, okay, I'm not going to do that again. People that are successful, they don't just magically have a golden road. And even if your parents, let's say, were super wealthy and told you this is a perfect way to do it, you're still going to struggle. You're still going to have your failures. Learn from them. Don't take it as a defeat. Take it as a challenge and just move forward. And think about it. Women now are so supported. Back in the day, I'll tell you, I went to a bank officer and I told him my dream was to be a loan officer. And he laughed at me. And he said, Sandra, a man is never going to come ask for money from a woman. I was like, what? Because they wanted me to take shorthand as a secretary. I said, I'm not going to stay a secretary. And they just thought I was delusional.
Times have changed.
Times have changed. And you make your life what you want it. It's your life. You control your mind. Your mind doesn't control you.
But all of that are things that you've learned throughout the years. And so
Yes.
every time I see you now, I'm going to think of the word grit.
Grit.
Yeah. I'd call you gritty, but that's also a dance. So I don't know if
Or stuff on your teeth.
Exactly. Sandra, thank you for being a part of Laredo College
welcome.
history. More importantly, thank you for telling your story. And congratulations, and thank you for your support of the community and for your support for Laredo College.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
God bless you.
I appreciate it.